Hello, and welcome to your digital literacy lesson on the Introduction to Sailing. Many people have been harnessing the power of the wind to sail across the oceans for thousands of years. Throughout history, boats have helped many civilizations to cross the oceans to reach new destinations. Ships have been around from 3500 BC, from the transport of precious cargo and people. Today, sailing has evolved and is more of a recreational sport. It is challenging and changeable, yet the guidance you receive in this video will allow you to become more confident for you to enjoy the freedom that the activity brings, that humans have been doing for thousands of years.
Hi, welcome to this lesson. The session aim is to familiarise you, the student, with the different parts of a sailing vessel and to use some digital tools. The objective by the end of the session will be able to identify at least 5 keywords for different parts of the boat and identify different keywords for at least 5 parts of the rigging. So we're taking the actual hull of the vessel and the sails as different parts there, and there are far more than 5 terms for those different parts of the boat, but as a starting point we'll try and get 5 of each. And then lastly we're going to look at this piece of CAD software, and this will have a little model of a sailing boat in the CAD software which you'll be able to interact with and get to grips with some of the tools to move around the model, and maybe if you have a chance at the end to disassemble the model and see how it's been put together. Whilst we do that activity, also we'll have a assessment which you'll do a self-assessment at the end, and what you've learnt of the keywords we'll try and put that into the model using some annotation tools. Okay, so we'll get started with a little video, shall we?
So part 1 of this lesson is going to be the names of the boat. So please pay close attention to the names and the positioning, as there's a small quiz at the end. So the first part we're going to look at is the bow. This is right at the front of the boat. The second is the stern. This is the back of the boat. The third is the transom, not to be confused with the stern, but this is the board at the back of the hull. The fourth is starboard. This is the right side of the boat and is usually labelled green. The fifth is the port side. So this is the opposite to starboard. It is on the left and is labelled red. The fifth is the rudder. This steers the boat. The seventh is the tiller. This is on the end of the rudder and allows the boat to be steered. And lastly is the centreboard. This is a board that's in the middle of the boat and stops the boat from sliding side to side. So to summarise, there are 8 parts of the boat: the bow, the stern, starboard, port, the tiller, the rudder, the centreboard, and the transom. Now please could you pause this video? We will be coming back to it after a short quiz. Go back to the Moodle page where you originally found this video and you will find the quiz on the parts of the boat.
Okay, so in this short video we're going to discuss some of the keywords for different parts of the rigging on a sailing boat. Some of these terms might already be familiar to you, but others might be new.
So first up we have the mast. The mast is very important. It is a vertical pole which supports the sails. So second is the forestay. This is a standard piece of rigging which keeps the mast from falling backwards. It is usually attached from the top of the mast down to the bow.
2 wire ropes that come to the different sides of the boat, to the port and starboard, and these are known as shrouds, and these run from the top of the mast to little brass loops that are attached to the side of the hull, and these shrouds stop the mast from swinging from side to side. Now we come to the sails in the boat. There are lots of different names for different types of sail. In this lesson we will focus on the names of two principal ones. These are the jib sail and the mainsail. The jib is the smaller of the two and is always found at the front of the boat. The jib serves to draw air around the back of the mainsail and helps the physical mechanism that propels the boat forward in the water. The mainsail sits behind the jib and is attached to an extension of the mast called a gaff. The reason for splitting the mast like this is that you can pack a much taller mast in two sections into a boat, especially if you're towing it behind a vehicle. Hanging from the bottom edge of the mainsail is the boom, and this is the piece of wood that will swing across the boat when it's changing direction, and which you're often advised to look out for. Finally, we come to the different names of the ropes found in a boat. So obviously, to avoid confusion and help communication between the skipper and their crew, it's important that we don't just use a general term for ropes, that the ropes that do different jobs are given different names. So the ropes that hold sails up are called halyards, H-A-L-Y-A-R-D-S, and these are attached to cleats on the base of the mast, and they are variously. So for the jib sail there is the jib halyard, and for the mainsail there is the main halyard. Okay, ropes that control the sails, as they're gathering the wind, these are called sheets. You may have heard the expression 3 sheets to the wind. So it's an idiomatic expression that comes from our nautical history, meaning someone that's very drunk is 3 sheets to the wind. So the sheets in this example are the ropes that control the sails. So in this boat there are 3 sheets. There is a port side jib sheet, a starboard side jib sheet, and on the back is the transom mounted main sheet. So to briefly summarise, the keywords for the rigging are the mast, the forestay, the shrouds, the jib, the mainsail, the gaff, the boom, and lastly 2 types of rope, halyards and sheets.
So this concludes the video section. Next step, you need to go back onto Moodle where you first began, complete another quiz on the boat and the rigging now. After completing that, please go back again to the Moodle page, which you will be directed to some CAD software. This would be your final task of today. Enjoy.